gentlemen, this is Jim Cargill and Bob Kraft. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would like to welcome everyone here in the live audience here at the museum and the thousands of folks that are watching literally all over the world online to the majestic galleries of the National Quilt Museum here in Paducah, Kentucky for the annual National Quilting Day Kickoff event. My name is Frank Bennett. I'm the CEO of the National Quilt Museum, and it is my honor to kick off this event this year. National Quilting Day is the day that we all come together and honor quilters and quilting. Before we get started, I'd like to do a little recognition. While National Quilting Day is a celebration of the entire quilting community, it is run administratively through a partnership between the National Quilt Museum and the Quilt Alliance. I'd like to thank the staff of both organizations for the many hours of work they've put into making this event possible. Please give them a round of applause. I'm going to start with a little bit about these two organizations. The National Quilt Museum is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that belongs to and is primarily funded by the quilting community. The museum promotes the expansion of quilting through in-facility and traveling exhibits, youth and adult education programs, and preservation efforts. We believe that quilters are amazing artists and their work should be enjoyed and appreciated by everyone. I'm honored to share the stage this morning with the Executive Director of the Quilt Alliance. Every quilt has a story, and Amy leads an effort to document, preserve, and share the many wonderful stories behind each and every quilt. Please welcome Amy Milne.
Thank you so much, Frank. It's great to be here, and I thank all of you who are here in person and all of you who are watching on the automagic of Facebook Live. I want to recognize Frank for his leadership on National Quilting Day. The Alliance took over National Quilting Day from the NQA, National Quilting Association, which many of you maybe have participated in. But Frank had a vision for how we could come together and grow this celebration and really make it for everyone in our community. Not just for guilds, not just for shops, not just for museums, but for all of us. And not just for people who quilt, people who own quilts, who are inspired by quilts. So thank you for for approaching us to partner on this day and making it something really special. And I'm so excited about this kickoff event and the fact that we're going to keep doing this and really building it. And I'm glad that all of you are here in person to be a part of it with us, so thank you. I wanted to say two messages today, two main messages. The Alliance is about documenting, preserving, and sharing the stories and the quilts. And so I want to send a shout out to all the people who are doing things today in honor of National Quilting Day. We inherited a program called Happy Birthday Baby from the National Quilting Association. I don't know if you've heard about it, but the idea is to make a quilt and donate it to the first baby born in your community on National Quilting Day, which to me is just an adorable win-win-win-win-win possibility. So I want to send a shout out to all those who have donated a quilt today, but not just to the first baby, to the thousands, probably millions of quilts that are donated every year to babies, to people in hospitals, to veterans, to anyone who needs a hug, a community hug, because that's what a quilt is. So I want to acknowledge all those folks. I want to acknowledge all the guilds that are doing events today. If your guild is, we want to hear about it on the National Quilting Day Facebook page. There are community groups doing quilt appraisals, quilt dating, quilt documentation. We have a project called Go Tell It at the Quilt Show, and you can go tell it anywhere. It's a grassroots project. That's a video storytelling project. If you've got a camera, if you've got a smartphone and a place to hold a quilt up, you can do this project. So think about it. But I want to shout out too to all those doing demonstrations of quilting today. I know that in my neck of the woods in the Blue Ridge Mountains, they're doing quilting demos. And I know that maybe one of the things that is happening out there in the greatest number are people teaching other people to quilt. And if you've ever taught a child or a new quilter how to get started, then kudos to you, because that's how we are going to keep this art form alive. And it's just, there's so many great things about learning to quilt and what happens between two people when you pass down that art form. So I encourage everyone to consider welcoming someone new to quilting. It could be a child, it could be your neighbor, and there's even efforts going on right now that just make one quilt. Every American made just one quilt. Think about that. That's kind of my quilt. Yeah, just one quilt. And my second thing I want to talk about today, I might need some help with it. Maybe to volunteer to help me hold this up. You want to, Frank?
Yeah, sure.
That's what a good partner does. All right.
There we go.
Okay. This is a quilt label. Okay, it's a little big. This might be a little big for your quilt. But I want to challenge everybody here to label one quilt today. I've got a label for each of you out there with a little card. And our instructions are label one. Don't let the history of your quilt fade away. Start simple. Could be a piece of muslin. These are really simple cotton that just have a couple of blanks for them, who made it, when they made it, where they made it. That's why really each quilt needs a label this big, because that's how big the story is. There's so much to put into a quilt. Quilts are historical documents. They contain a lot of information. So we really encourage folks to label quilts even that they didn't make, but that was passed down to them. Or maybe you found it at Thrift World, and you only know the date that you bought it, and you know the name of that store. That's an important detail that a historian someday is going to say, thank you, because there's something about this that relates to the history of that store, that relates to the history of that community, that is really important. So if you think labeling is something that's just a chore and it's, I know it can be obnoxious, but it's so important. So everybody here, I want you to be able to take one and really label it today. Don't put it off. Okay? Thank you, Frank. One year as a Halloween costume, I went as a quilt label. Fantastic. Well, that is about all I have to say. So thank you so much for having me. You have a beautiful museum. This is just such a treat. If you have not been to this museum before and you're on Facebook Live, make plans now. It's a beautiful space.
Thank you. Amy mentioned documenting all the stuff you're doing today for National Quilting Day. Make sure you hashtag National Quilting Day as you do, because everybody wants to see the ideas of what people are doing around the world to honor this basically a holiday for us. So make sure it's just hashtag National Quilting Day, that you document all the activities that you're doing today. Thank you. All right. The official kickoff of National Quilting Day is commemorated by perhaps the two most synonymous and elementary items that every single quilter in the world uses daily: a needle and thread. Please welcome National Quilt Museum Education Director, Becky Glaspie. As you can see, Becky is holding a 4-foot wooden needle that we will use for today's ceremony. The needle was made by a Kentucky artist named Elizabeth Skinner, and the artwork is entitled Stitch Across America. Elizabeth is actually here in the studio for us. If you can raise your hand, please, right back there. I'd like for you to give her a clap. Every year, we pick a person that's made a significant impact in the quilting community to to perform the ceremonial threading of the needle that officially kicks off National Quilting Day. This year, we pay tribute to Amy Milne for her tireless service to the quilting community on behalf of the Quilt Alliance by selecting her as the honorary threader for 2019. For this year's kickoff event, please join me in acknowledging Amy and the dedication and passion she has shown for quilting. Ironically, we waited until just a few weeks ago to tell her it was going to be her. Yeah. Did you tell?
No.
Oh, okay. Let's begin the ceremony. On this National Quilting Day 2019, every quilter and quilt enthusiast comes together to honor our unique identities as quilters. Each one of us plays a part in telling not just the story of quilting, but the story of the world in which we live. As quilters, we are artists, we are storytellers, we are inspirers, we are educators, but above all else, we are passionate advocates for the wonderful art form that is quilting and the extraordinary people that make up the quilting community. With all that said, no further ado, Amy, the thread is yours.
I can make it, I might need a threader. Just to be sure it doesn't escape. No, that's not how you.
Thank you once again, Amy. Before I conclude, I want to remind everyone that the National Quilt Museum and the Quilt Alliance are both nonprofit organizations that are primarily funded through people passionate about quilting, so please support both of these organizations. This concludes National Quilting Day Kickoff Event 2019. Thank you for participating, and everybody enjoy your day quilting. Thank you.